From the traditional and unceded territory of the Caledonia First Nation and the heart of northern BC, welcome to the CNC Podcast. 50 years, 100,000 alumni. At CNC, we're learning together, changing lives and creating futures. Welcome to the CNC Podcast. I'm Mark Cargelotto. Skilled trades offer a lot of opportunities in terms of good pay, high job satisfaction, and plenty of available work. However, skilled trades have typically not been a domain for women. There have been a number of barriers that have been in place, and women have typically not chosen trades for that. It's something that the college, employers, and other organizations that are focused on trades careers are very dedicated to changing. And one of those people is our program coordinator at CNC for the Professional Cook Program. She's Mandy Newcomb. She is an award-winning Red Seal chef. She has been an educator for a number of years and certainly a promoter of women in trades, and we're thrilled to have her today on the CNC Podcast. Welcome, Mandy.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Well, can you tell me a little more about your career and your journey? Why did you choose to become a Red Seal chef?
I would say it probably started when I was about 9, watching Julia Child on PBS TV. And having that woman role model in my life, as well as my mom was a really good cook. I chose to pursue all of the cooking classes at the high school that I went to at Kelly Road. And then I came here and took the program that I now teach. That wasn't quite enough for me. So I continued on and went down to Vancouver, did some more fine dining French training, and then started working my way up through sort of the paces in the front of the house, working as a busser all the way up to a restaurant manager. And then in the back of the house, starting dishwashing all the way up to executive chef. I had the pleasure of, at 25, running a couple of restaurants and then a hotel and casino project here. And I learned a lot very quickly.
So I must ask, what's your favorite thing to prepare, or even what's your favorite thing to eat?
Well, I really enjoy making cakes and pastries. That was sort of my niche earlier on in my career. My favorite thing to eat now, I do enjoy a good steak, turkey dinner, a good piece of cake. Can't go wrong with that.
That sounds great. My mouth is watering already. What do you think has been the biggest opportunity that you've had through your career and going through all of the different sides of the house that you've seen as a restaurateur?
Well, like I said, probably around 25, when I got a good opportunity from some local people here and believed in me as a young female and gave me, took a chance on me and gave me an opportunity to show what I was made of.
But what do you think then, on the flip side, would have been the biggest challenge that you've faced?
Well, to be totally honest, a lot of my classmates at the time when I was a student were males. Probably more than, I would say, 75% off the cuff, and generally in the industry was mostly males, older men, and I hate to use the term, but the old boys club still existed back then, and I kind of had to fight my way through it.
Has that changed now in terms of, for example, in your classes, what percentage would you say would be the division between male and female?
Definitely have the last few years been 50-50 at least, and sometimes more heavily on the female side. And also off on another tangent, I'm happy to see that we have a lot of First Nations students taking advantage of our program too.
Yeah, understandably. Why did you become an instructor?
I really enjoy teaching others my craft. I love seeing the light bulb moments of when they really catch on to what I'm trying to teach them. And I find the creativity wonderful.
So those light bulb moments, for example, do they come, I'm presuming they don't come necessarily right away, but what do you find? Can you explain a light bulb moment, do you think, for a student?
Especially for students who perhaps are struggling, sort of catching on to the notions that we're teaching at the beginning, maybe having some hurdles. And when they realize, wow, I can actually do this. And I really enjoy that. Especially like coming up soon, we have level 2 starting, and we're going to be running the dining room service. And it's a little more intricate. And a lot of the students really start to shine then.
Now, you mentioned sometimes a student might be struggling. How do you help them through a struggle that comes up, if you have a typical one that you could describe?
Well, at CNC, we have a lot of great resources here. And obviously, the biggest one is just my time and my partner's time. Taking that extra moment to spend with those students one-on-one when opportunity presents. And then also sometimes just having a support network that we have here at the college with counseling services or tutoring services. Sometimes that helps a lot. Like there is a fair bit of math involved in recipe conversion. And that's just something that some people really struggle with. So reaching out and helping them with those resources.
Now, let's jump back for a moment in terms of barriers for women in trades. And you described some of them in general, but how do you think, what's your role as an instructor, as an advocate for helping women through the barriers that they may have encountered, that you encountered even through your career?
I think the biggest thing is just providing support and pointing them in the direction of, again, all the resources that are available. For example, recently there was an Empower program here at CNC with First Nations women where they could try out some of the different trades. We often have trades discovery, trades explorations, and sometimes we're even having them where they're strictly geared towards females because sometimes they're a bit intimidated by their classmates that might be male. And also, I might mention Les Dames d'Escoffier is a really wonderful mentorship program that I'm happily involved in and have won some scholarships through.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more if you could,
Sure.
please. It sounds important to you, but you want to also try to grow it here. Could you talk about that a bit?
I'd really like to open up a branch of the club here for females in the hospitality and culinary industry. Like I said, it's a mentorship program, giving some support to young women, whether they want to start a business or continue their education. And they offer scholarships, grants, mentorship. They do some philanthropic work, long table dinners, fundraisers, all kinds of really great stuff.
And it's an international group then?
Yes.
Yeah. When did you get involved in it?
Well, actually, one of my mentors, Chef Gaetan, who was an instructor here, she actually was the one who encouraged me to come and start subbing here, in about 2005, when I was a chef at a local restaurant. And so she's heavily involved in that club and sits on one of the boards. And so she encouraged me actually when some scholarships were coming up. And I was lucky enough to win one for a chocolate workshop. And then I have another one. I haven't used it yet, but it's visiting some sort of farm to fork ventures within the province and doing a stage at a restaurant down in North Vancouver to keep up with all the trends that are happening in the industry.
Do you want to talk about a bit more about those trends? How you've been involved in this for a few decades now. How have things changed, or what's exciting you, and how are you imparting that to students?
Well, something that's super important to me is learning about what's here locally and what we can use. So whether it's farms or artisan bakers, or we don't have too many cheese makers here, that's more on the island, but mushroom growers, things that we can forage right here in Prince George. I did a chat with Catherine Hansen recently about what's right here in our back door, what's actually on our property that we can eat. Also some other trends that have been of late, gluten-free diets, vegan, vegetarian, allergies, sensitivities. Those were not even talked about, 20 years ago or 25 years ago when I sort of first started coming up in it.
So how has that changed then in terms of the instruction that students are provided? Like, are you simply doing that much more when students are first coming in to introduce them, or do they have options to choose different things as their education moves along?
So we definitely incorporate that from the get-go, and particularly when we're doing, just last month, we really focused on international cuisine, First Nations cuisine, buffets and things like that. So we really tailored the learning to those options for our guests and our customers, so that we learned how to provide for them and have them have a wonderful experience. So it's very important, and we start it right at the beginning in August.
So there's a greenhouse here at the CNC campus, and I understand that you've worked with them to grow microgreens. Can you tell me about how that worked out?
For sure. So Arahem and Applied Research, we're working together for quite a few years now, and microgreens was sort of where we started. But last summer, we sort of a pet project, and wasn't easy, and we're learning as we go, but we were growing Swiss chard in there, heirloom tomatoes, which Farmer Andrew from Hope Farms kindly donated to us to use. We had some squash, Cape gooseberries, herbs, you name it. And we were able to keep those growing all summer long, well into the fall. And actually a few items we harvested in November and brought them inside. So we have a little makeshift growing, like still keeping those herbs coming along in the cafeteria. Just for example, we used some of the lemongrass in our Thai buffet the other day, and we grew it right here on campus.
Oh, wow. Is that something that students are learning as well in terms of growing as they're going through their professional cook training?
For sure. It's kind of a little ad hoc, if you will. Not necessarily part of the curriculum, but more of a fun thing. Another task we complete on the regular, and then they go out and get their hands dirty, and we'll till the soil and add the fertilizers and the nutrients. And we're really working on creating a composting program here too in the future. So all sort of part and parcel of, again, back to the trends that we were talking about earlier.
You mentioned the light bulb moments and how that gets you excited, but how do you think that you motivate students and going back to women in trades, young women, in terms of choosing a trades career, whether it's professional cook or something else?
I think the biggest thing is offering support, I guess, at the grassroots level. And we're very fortunate here at the college to, for example, my associate dean is a female. She's a Red Seal welder. Tanis is a Red Seal welder. That's one of the instructors. We have a couple of staff and facilities that are female electricians. So I think just showing them that we can be right here beside them, helping them grow is, I think, a grassroots effect on them.
That's great. And what keeps you inspired as an instructor?
I think that, sort of seeing the success stories of our students. For example, we have some students that are recently down on the island. They're the sous chef of some fantastic restaurants. We have another student who's at the park in Vancouver. He's running the operation. We have some award-winning chefs over in China. It's pretty exciting to see where they can go after they have left here.
Well, that's great. It sounds like a really exciting opportunity in professional cook, and it sounds like you're having a fabulous time, and it sounds like your students are as well. So, Mandy, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.